And for more on this story, let's bring in our senior business editor, Stephen Carroll. Stephen, it's great to have you with us. Let's delve into this accord together. What exactly is in this deal?
There's two main elements to what has been agreed by the G7 ministers in London. The first is that global minimum tax rate of at least 15% for big profitable companies. That had been something the United States in particular had signalled significant progress towards in recent weeks. But the other element of it is this issue of tackling big companies, big tech companies in particular, who don't really fit into the traditional international tax system as we know it and have been able, as a result, to pay less tax by moving profits around between different countries. This change will see those companies that have profit margins of over 10%, the world's most profitable companies, will see part of their profits reallocated to countries where they're making money. And that's good news for countries like France that have been pushing for major reforms of the international taxation system for many years now. If you look at the potential benefits of what this could be in terms of extra tax revenue raised, the Tax Justice Network, a lobby group in this area, says that a 15% rate could be raising $250 billion in new revenue. They had been hoping that there would be a higher rate, so the at least 15% may comfort some campaigners in this area who'd wanted greater action in this area, but it is a historic progress towards a future agreement on tax. It is the biggest change to the corporate tax regime in over 100 years.
So, Stephen, I suppose the next big question for many of us is what comes next?
This is a political level agreement, so these rules as they are don't have any binding force. They're not going to come into force next week, next month, or even for the moment next year. There's technical work that needs to be done behind all of this to make sure that it's going to be implemented. The next step politically is going to be a meeting of G20 ministers in July. That'll be hoping to get broader agreement on this. Then the OECD will be involved again. The OECD has been for years working on the framework, the technical aspect of how a reform of international taxation would work under these two pillars, a global minimum rate and also this issue of reallocation of profits to countries where companies make money. They had been blocked by the lack of a political agreement on the details of this. We now seem to have that political agreement, so we'll allow those talks to come into force. But it is a slow process. We shouldn't expect any sudden changes on this, despite the scale of what we're talking about in a massive reform to corporate taxation. But it will change things for many countries around the world who are both those who are losing out on tax revenue, the likes of France and Germany that feel they should be getting more money from big companies. And then on the flip side, countries like Ireland who have a lower corporate tax rate than the United States, than this 15%, they have it at 12.5%, or Hungary, the lowest corporate tax rate in the EU. So those countries will see loss of tax revenue as a result of this, but they have been preparing for it. The Irish Fiscal Advisory Council had already warned that there would be a loss in order of billions of euros to corporate tax revenue if this deal were to be agreed, but plenty more negotiation to happen and a lot of technical work that'll have to be put in place first before this becomes the new global rulebook for how companies are taxed.